Nigeria is bleeding again, and this time the blood is on the Zamfara highway, torn apart by another deadly explosion. Another reminder that insecurity is no longer an emergency in this country. It is a lifestyle forced on the people by failed leadership. Before we go deeper, this is Trend Fusion, your fact zone, where we break things down without fear, without loyalty to power, and without pretending that things are fine when they are not. So follow this channel, subscribe, like, and share this video, because voices like this must be heard. Now listen carefully, because what Peter Obi said after the Zamfara blast is not just a reaction, it is a mirror placed in front of Nigeria, and many people in power do not like what they see. The explosion in Zamfara happened just days after another deadly bombing in Bono, at a time when families should have been resting, celebrating life, and hoping for a better tomorrow. But instead, Nigerians are counting bodies, digging graves, and asking the same old question: when will this stop? Peter Obi described the news as heartbreaking, and it truly is, because these attacks are no longer shocking, they are becoming normal, and that is the most dangerous thing that can happen to any country. When killing becomes normal, leaders relax, excuses multiply, and the people are left to fend for themselves. Obi pointed out something very important. These attacks keep happening despite repeated assurances from the government that everything is under control. Assurances Nigerians have heard year after year, government after government, while terrorists grow bolder, more sophisticated, and more confident. From guns to bombs, from forests to highways, from night attacks to broad daylight explosions, insecurity has evolved, but leadership response has remained weak, confused, and sometimes suspiciously silent. Obi made it clear that the protection of human life must return to the center of national priorities. Not politics, not propaganda, not ethnic balancing, not religious sentiment, but human life, something Nigeria has treated cheaply for too long. He went further to address what many leaders deliberately avoid: the root causes of insecurity. Poverty, unemployment, collapsed local economies, and destroyed small businesses. Because when people are abandoned by those elected to lead them, desperation grows, crime grows, and violence finds fertile ground. Obi reminded Nigerians that a secure Nigeria cannot exist without a productive Nigeria, that you cannot separate insecurity from economic failure, because hunger is a weapon, joblessness is fuel, and hopelessness is recruitment material for criminals and terrorists. This position is not new for Peter Obi. It is consistent with everything he has said and stood for over the years. Long before this Zamfara blast, Obi has always spoken against insecurity, not with empty grammar, but with logic and facts, always linking security to governance, economy, and leadership quality. He has repeatedly said that you cannot defeat insecurity by spending billions on weapons alone, while the economy is collapsing and young people are idle. He has consistently criticized governments that borrow recklessly, mismanage resources, and then wonder why crime is exploding. During campaigns and interviews, Obi said clearly that insecurity thrives where leadership fails, where corruption steals opportunity from the people, and where the state abandons its basic responsibility of protecting lives and property. Unlike many politicians who shout only when elections are near, Obi has maintained the same position before, during, and after elections, calling out bad leadership, corruption, and incompetence, regardless of whose government is involved. He has condemned the killing of farmers in Benue, the attacks in Plateau, the kidnappings in Kaduna, the massacres in the northeast, and the banditry in the northwest, without selecting victims by tribe or religion. That consistency is why many Nigerians listen to him, even when they don't agree with everything he says. In his reaction to the Zamfara and Bono attacks, Obi sent condolences to the affected communities, acknowledging their pain and reminding them that millions of Nigerians share their grief, because this country has become a burial ground for victims of violence that should have been contained long ago. That statement alone separates leadership from noise, because real leadership recognizes pain instead of explaining it away. Obi challenged Nigeria to move away from excuses and embrace competence, compassion, and accountability. Words that sound simple but very expensive in Nigerian politics. Competence means knowing what to do and how to do it. Compassion means caring about the people beyond press statement. And accountability means taking responsibility when things go wrong, instead of blaming the past, blaming enemies, or blaming the people themselves. Over the years, Obi has also spoken openly about international intervention and pressure, including his position that when a government fails to protect its citizens, external pressure becomes inevitable. He has said in different ways that Nigeria should not need help from outside to secure its people, but if leadership continues to fail, the world will not look away forever. When the United States under Donald Trump began to speak strongly about insecurity and the killing of Christians in Nigeria, Obi acknowledged that external pressure can sometimes force governments to act, even though it is embarrassing that a sovereign nation must be pushed from outside to protect its own citizens. His position has always been that Nigeria must fix itself from within, but pretending that external pressure does not matter is dishonest. In the context of recent US actions and statements, Obi has made it clear that insecurity is not a partisan issue. It is a national failure, and any serious effort to end it must be welcomed, while also pushing Nigeria to build its own capacity and leadership strength. What makes Obi's voice stand out again after the Zamfara blast is the contrast with those who constantly defend terrorists and bandits. Since the explosion, many of the usual terrorist sympathizers, negotiators, and defenders have gone quiet. These are people who always speak when terrorists are attacked, people who cry dialogue when criminals are bombed, people who warn about sovereignty when killers are confronted, but remain silent when bombs rip through buses and innocent travelers are blown apart. That silence is not accidental. It is revealing. Obi has never defended terrorists, never justified banditry, never romanticized violence, and never blamed victims for their own deaths. Instead, he keeps returning to the same uncomfortable truth that bad leadership is the foundation of Nigeria's insecurity. From his time as governor to his national political journey, Obi has emphasized prudence, transparency, and planning, arguing that when resources are managed well, jobs are created, hope returns, and crime reduces. He has pointed out repeatedly that corruption is not just stealing money, it is stealing security, because every naira stolen is a job lost, a road abandoned, a school closed, and a young person pushed closer to crime. Obi has criticized governments that celebrate statistics while people are dying, governments that hold meetings while terrorists roam freely, and governments that disarm citizens without disarming criminals. He has spoken against the criminalization of self-defense, citing cases where citizens are punished for protecting themselves while terrorists are released, rehabilitated, or even rewarded. All these positions connect directly to what is happening today in Zamfara, because the blast is not an isolated event. It is the product of years of failure, silence, compromise, and selective outrage. Obi's message after the blast ends with a painful but necessary reminder that no country can progress when its citizens live in fear, and that Nigeria owes it to both the living and the dead to finally build a nation where life is valued and protected. And this brings us to the final and most important question. Will Nigeria ever get her leadership right? Because without good leadership, insecurity will never go away, no matter how many soldiers are deployed, no matter how many weapons are bought, and no matter how many speeches are made. Leadership is the difference between a country that protects life and one that manages death. Leadership is the difference between a nation that plans for the future and one that reacts to tragedy. Leadership is the difference between hope and despair. As long as Nigeria continues to recycle incompetence, reward corruption, protect failure, and silence truth, insecurity will remain, bombs will continue to explode, and citizens will continue to bury their loved ones. Peter Obi's reaction to the Zamfara blast is not magic. It will not stop terrorism overnight, but it reminds Nigerians of what leadership should sound like. Honest, compassionate, logical, and focused on solutions, not excuses. The real tragedy would be hearing such words, agreeing with them, and then continuing with the same old politics that created this mess in the first place. Nigeria's future depends on leadership, and until that leadership is right, insecurity will remain our daily headline.